Hey, welcome to a different run. I'm out by the Maprachan Reservoir, which I have not been to in a very, very long time, and it's very pretty. There's like these little boats down here. I find boats really romantic. I don't know why, like this whole idea of like fishing villages, fishing communities, like they just leave them in the water. Kevin and I went to Pattaya, which is down in the south, and it is a fishing community, and we stayed at this crazy little like wooden house hotel type thing. It's very, very little. There are like cracks in the floors, like the air con wouldn't work because it was all just very porous and stuff like this. And I was woken up in the morning by the flashlight of a boatman coming through the window at like 3-4 in the morning, something like this, and I was just like, this is it's like the coolest thing ever. Like being woken up at that hour was beautiful to me. Like I really, really enjoyed it. Kevin and I were watching movies last night, and the reason it's plural is that we started with not strong options. I'm not going to say the name of the movie that we tried to watch because I don't want to talk a lot of shit, but it was really bad. Like, it was really, really bad. And we put it on kind of as like a background. We're like, it's okay. Like, we'll just kind of semi-pay attention, scroll a little bit, and like if it catches us, we'll watch it. We had liked a previous incarnation of this movie, so we're like, this, should be all right. It was not all right. It was really bad. And Kevin was like, it's got to get better. Like, it's got to be okay because ultimately it's made like $200 million at the box office. And I guffawed and I was like, I'm sure it costs more than that to make this. Like, they haven't even broken even. And he was like, no, that can't be it. And so he goes on the Google and he was like, oh shit. He's like, yeah, it cost more than that to make this. So we turned it off and we tried another one that he thought Jason Statham was in, and Jason Statham was not in it. And when we discovered that he was not in that, we just turned that right off. We ended up watching a movie that we've seen before that you can only go wrong with Denzel Washington if you're watching Book of Eli or whatever that like Ghost Father or whatever snowman movie was he made. But we watched Flight, which is just, Denzel is like peak Denzel in that. It was really good. I'm glad we switched over to that. But so it got us in this conversation about movies and cinema and just how like this movie Flight is so incredible because it is really, really well written, it's very well performed, and it's kind of an incredible story. But it doesn't really matter. Like, none of those things really matter because cinema-wise, like movie making-wise, it's just incredible. Hey, you have an amazing ridgeback. Can people see? That's really cool. Will you let me pet you? No? Okay. That's alright. But because the movie making is so incredible, it kind of doesn't matter what it's about, or I'm sure it would, lose points if it wasn't well written, if it wasn't well directed, well performed. But like, just the actual making of it was so incredible. And this is the thing that I was talking to Takro Lek about when we were filming with Takro Lek for the Muay Thai library. I interviewed him afterwards, and I was asking him about like changes in Muay Thai because he is what's called Muay Buk. Muay Buk means literally invasion, so like it's an invasive fighter. So if you think of someone like Rotang, Samson, you guys don't know Takro Lek, but Takro Lek is like this. Chachai Noi, his older brother, is like this. It means someone who's constantly coming forward, and they can have different weapons that make them Muay Buk, but Muay Buk is the energy, it's what's coming forward. So you can have like a Muay Khao Muay Buk, you can have a Muay Mat Muay Buk, whatever. This is kind of the style that people are really going for in these like entertainment Muay Thai shows. So I'm asking him, there's a huge difference between what he looked like and what his era looked like with Muay Buk and what it looks like now that people are doing. And he had lots of answers for why it's different. But I was also asking him about the difference in like viewership, like why people are wanting to see this certain type of fighting now. And he said back in the day it didn't matter as much who won. It wasn't as emphasized who won or lost this fight. It was an entertaining fight. The fight was amazing. And yeah, it matters to you as the fighter, and yeah, there's gambling on it, so that matters, and it matters for your career and these kinds of things. But like a fight itself was incredible, and you'd have just like, that was an amazing fight, and it does not matter so much who won or lost it. And this is totally true. I used to watch a Karahat versus Chatchai Paisitong fight before my fights to like gear myself up. He doesn't win this fight. Karahat doesn't win this fight. I love Karahat. I'm not a huge Chatchai Paisitong fan, but it didn't matter that Karahat doesn't win that fight. It does not matter because it's so exciting. It's so good. And Karahat doesn't win any of his fights against Wang Chinoi, and every single one is just fucking incredible. Like, they're so good. So it's like this, where like, it does not matter win or lose. It matters that the fight was incredible. And this is kind of good movie making. Like, the things matter, you know, like it matters that they're good fighters, and it matters that someone won, and maybe you're very excited by the elbow that happened or whatever. And that can be parts of the movie. Like, Denzel does an incredible performance. It's so good. And the filmmaking is really great. But because you made a good movie, the movie is great regardless of whether his character, you know, comes around or has like a moral realization or is punished or like whatever the thing is. And I don't think that's really the case anymore. Like, there are definitely good fights now. Like when I'm watching fights on TV, there are definitely like, I don't care who won or lost that fight because I don't know who anybody is. But I'm like, that was a really, really good fight. That was exciting because of this. And we were watching one the other night. He was on Super Champ. And it was kind of an incredible example because it was a guy from, I think, Iran versus a Thai guy. And the Thai guy just had total Thai style. Like, he was all about timing and jangwa and, like, kind of angling, just, like, really beautiful Muay Thai. And the Iranian guy was combos, but he had, like, beautiful shots. Like, he had very, very skilled, technical Muay Thai. It was just combos. So you could kind of time it, like you could kind of see exactly what he was going to be doing, and he started doing the same things over and over again because that's what combos are. And the Thai guy got hit by it a bunch of times and then just got wise to it and was like, okay, I'm just going to hook you every time you do that now. And it was shut down, like it was just gone. But it's very interesting to see like this versus that in terms of like, it's not style versus style in terms of like Muay Mat versus Muay Khao. It was style versus style of like completely different ways of conversing. So it'd be like a row, row, row your boat song competing with like a Led Zeppelin song that like doesn't even have a bridge or something. But I don't know, like these can be very interesting. These can be really, really good fights. But they're not on par with great movie making or whatever things are. Kevin was making a point that this phenomenal movie making is less common now because movies have to sell on an international market. This is really hard to do. Like, this is one of the reasons they don't make comedies anymore, is that comedy is really hard to transfer across cultures. I find Mr. Bean really funny for like Monty Python or something like this, but like largely that's not going to go across all cultures. Monty Python is very like slapstick and physical and things like this, but the absolute funniest ones to me are like the philosophers playing soccer. That doesn't necessarily translate across even English. Like, I don't think everyone finds that funny. I die. I find it so funny. And so when you're making these movies, you're making them to sell on an international market, which is maybe why we saw this, like, whoever edited it just put it in a blender, this thing we were trying to watch last night that was so bad, is like, you only have to pay attention for like 20 seconds at a time. I don't know if people who don't have kids, so you're not watching a movie for your kids, but you're watching a kid's movie. If you've noticed this, I grew up on movies and I was young when I watched them, but I've watched them again as an adult. And they kind of carry, like, you can tell a movie's made for a kid, but it's not insufferable to watch as an adult. There are movies now that when I'm watching them, I'm just like, I feel like I have some kind of like brain damage or something when I'm watching it, where like nothing connects to anything else. You only have to pay attention for 20 seconds at a time, and there's not even an overarching theme where it's like, okay, well, they need to get to the boat or something. Like, there'll be joke after joke after joke, and you basically just have to laugh at the joke and carry on. It's like you're scrolling, but you're watching a movie. And I remember saying to Kevin a couple of times, because we watch kids' movies sometimes as like, we don't want to think very hard. And I'm like, I don't remember kids' movies being this bad. Like, I don't remember them being so loud and like endlessly moving and things like this. And when I think of movies that I watched as a kid that were for kids, they they weren't like that. They weren't as like short attention span, I guess, because I've watched them again since then and they're not the same. So I understand the world is changing. I don't want to be one of these fogies that's like, back in my day, blah, blah, blah. I understand that my version of like whatever movies were like in the 80s and 90s that I thought were really cool are a far cry from what was happening in like the 40s and 50s and stuff like this. So I don't know. I want Muay Thai to get back to like amazing movie making, if you know what I mean. And you can have entire cards of this. Like, part of this is actually going to see it live. I know that like a lot of what I'm consuming is through the TV or through my phone or whatever the thing is, and that totally changes what you're looking at and that changes what your attention span is. So yes, I need to go watch live Muay Thai more. But I don't know how to like pull back into it this like, I don't think that when someone made the movie Flight, they were like, nobody's going to care about what the actual story is because I'm going to make the movie so well. I don't think that that was done intentionally. That just is what incredible movie making is. There's a movie that Kevin and I watch very, I don't know, not super frequently because it's not multiple times a year, but Leave Her to Heaven. It's from, I want to say like 1957 or something like this. It's almost like a perfect movie. Like there's no flaw. There's no like lag in the third act that you kind of have to like get over the hump to. It's just like visibly the way that they pick shots, the way that they compose everything, the acting. And when you actually start kind of breaking it apart, like the guy in it sucks. Like this guy sucks. It kind of is interesting because the woman wants him to love her so much, and like she just wants this like intense relationship with him. You kind of have this like, this guy, like he's not very charming. He's not really anything. And so when you break it apart, it becomes kind of, I don't know, you can dissect it in that way, but that's not really what the movie's about. And I think that there are versions of fights that are like this, where you're like, I can see what someone's trying to do and maybe they're not accomplishing it. And so you're like, okay, well, I can see what they're trying to do. And that's interesting. It's interesting to see them try. And I was saying this about this movie that we tried to watch last night that was so bad, that I was like, there are movies where you can see what they were trying to do and they didn't quite get to. And that's interesting. I don't even know what they were trying to do with this movie. I have no idea what their like aim was or what they thought each scene was. And I feel like this happens at times when I'm watching fights where I'm like, I don't even know what this fighter's trying to do. Like, I don't even understand what their approach is. Like, they've tried two things and they've been shut down and now they're completely out of ideas. And these are not bad fighters. Like, they're not fighting at, super low level. This is not like their fourth fight. Like, these are the fights that are broadcast on TV and meant to build fighters and meant to give you names of people that you're following and stuff like that. And I don't know. I talked before about Sine and this idea of charisma and charm, and like when Kevin and I were watching the World Cup last year, a couple years ago, I don't know, last year, I was getting really mad at certain teams. Like, I just fucking hate the American team. I hate their style. I hate what they're doing. They pass for absolutely no reason. They kick the ball directly at the goalie. Like, they've trained this. They're doing it intentionally. Like, it's not like they just woke up yesterday and decided to do this thing. They've practiced this very, very hard. I don't get it. It frustrates me. And then there are teams that I'm not familiar with, like Morocco. I thought was absolutely incredible. I loved the way they played. I loved their aggression. Like, I loved these like little things that they were doing. And Kevin doesn't know soccer at all. Like, he didn't grow up watching it. He doesn't know the rules of it. And so he'd ask me questions about the rules. And I'd try to answer because I understand what offsides is and stuff like this, but he'd ask me kind of detailed questions about the rules. And I'd try to answer them, but I'd also pull back and I'd be like, I'm talking about pee-wee soccer. Like, I played into high school, so like I played on, like intramural soccer and stuff like this, but I'm basically talking about like very, very low level soccer. I'm not talking about professional soccer. So I had this like total, I don't know what the word is. I can't speak to a high level about what the rules are in professional soccer because I've never done it. And I think this comes into play when you're talking about, how much you know about what someone is trying to do or what someone's tactics are or how well someone's executing something on a very, very high level of people who really know what they're doing versus people who don't. And you're trying to like give some kind of breakdown of what their internal thought process is, or what their kind of like tactic is, and all these different things, and it's like, it's not, you know, it's not there. maybe they had a plan, but it's not happening in this case. So good filmmaking, bad filmmaking, good soccer players, bad soccer players, teams, I guess, and good Muay Thai and bad Muay Thai. I don't know. I think it's very, very hard to go back to people being like very, very high level, because it depends on who you're fighting and depends on how you learn. I think people literally aren't even learning Muay Thai the way they used to. Talking to Tucker Lek about how he learned, like what was taught to him, his same Ajahn Sarat is still training students, and they don't look like what Tucker Lek and Chachai Noi looked like, because they're not fighting the same people. It's not the same era. Like, eras change. You're not necessarily able to get the same thing out of that. Like, you cannot have actors now acting the way that Marlon Brando did, because movies aren't like that anymore. Like, it would come off totally weird. So I don't know. I'll just show you guys around a little bit of this beautiful sunset that I'm seeing here, and then I'm gonna get back to it while I'm gonna blah blah. All right, take it easy.